Candyman.
They will say that I have shed innocent blood. What's blood for, if not for shedding?
Welcome back to another movie review. Long time no see. And we are going to be reviewing the 1992 underground classic, Candyman. When you talk about horror movies to a casual fan, it's actually quite surprising how many have not seen the Candyman film franchise. An urban legend that keeps the projects in fear, being passed down from men, women to children, that makes them not go out at night, keeps them afraid of their own mirrors, and questions if their shadow is theirs or not. The plot of the film is a postgraduate student is writing a thesis paper on urban legends and myths, and she discovers through research that there's a specific urban legend around her area known as the Candyman, and she goes around interviewing teenagers around the campus who's heard about it until she gets a very vital clue from one of the night workers at the college campus telling her that Candyman is in fact real and is murdering people in the projects.
Helen, a woman died in there. Leave it.
Everyone knows he isn't real.
That's modern oral folklore.
Everyone. Except Helen Lyle.
Bring it up. It ain't safe around here.
I don't scare too easy. Wanna know about Ruthie Jean? They ain't never gonna catch him. Who?
Now, her skepticism mixed with wanting to be a better reporter and writer than previous people who have written about Candyman in the past drives her to go look for the Candyman. And when she does start searching around and discovering this may be more than an urban myth, that's when the story starts getting darker. That's when her character becomes stalked by the Candyman.
Who is that?
Helen, I came for you. Be my victim. Be my victim.
Candyman is very much more than the gory kill scenes that you see in the movie or the funny tropes that you would see in a horror film. This movie was very much based on the harsh realities of modern day, in 1992, modern day racism, along with racism of the past, and mixing it with a love story that is very much hidden beneath the surface, and you really have to be paying attention to the film to understand and see that this isn't some vengeful spirit coming to murder people for no reason because he was killed years and years ago, like Bloody Mary or the other urban legends that you've heard about. No, Candyman's a tortured soul who's actually really not the villain of the movie, even though he does some pretty horrific things. It's very much a deep psychological movie. What I really like about this movie is there's no good way to get out of it. There's no happy ending. I feel like most horror films have some sort of happy ending, or there's a conclusion, or there's some sort of way out that isn't ending in a painful, tragic death. But Candyman is one of those few horror movies where there is no good way. It's either the bad way or the even worse way. Candyman is all about the suffering of not only the mind and the body, but how love can be a cruel bitch. It's something that can't be killed. No matter if you kill its physical form, it will live on and on and on until it gets what it wants. What I also love about this, without getting like political about anything, Candyman I like a lot because the horror movie character, who is, like I said, basically not a villain, even though he does horrific things, is black. There isn't very many horror movies that I've seen where there's a black villain or a black hero. And this very much goes hand in hand with my love of the very first George A. Romero zombie movie, Night of the Living Dead. It has a lot of similarities in that fact where in Night of the Living Dead, it was very taboo for there to be a black hero. It was very taboo to see a black character telling a white character what to do and leading a bunch of white characters. And in Candyman, I feel like it's the same way. The Candyman is very much in control of this whole situation throughout the movie. And you see a lot of the high echelons of white society acting as if like, well, it's Candyman, you know, it's just that urban myth. I'm gonna go back to eating my nice steak with my wine. It's hard for me to actually explain it, I guess, clearly, because we live in such a society now where if you say one thing that has to do with race, even if it's a positive thing, you're gonna be shit on for it. So I'm just gonna go on and say that I really appreciate Candyman, and I really appreciate Night of the Living Dead for what they did with their black characters. We all grew up with urban legends and scary stories being passed down to us throughout the years. And unlike other horror movies of the 80s and the 90s where they draw you in with, you know, the gory kill scenes or the comedic crappy script that they put out there, Candyman drew me in because it felt like a real story. A real horror story being told to me through the perspective of the characters in the movie. And it drew me in that way to where I was really interested. I wanted to know more the whole time. Who is Candyman? Why is he doing these things? And why is his name somehow known throughout this entire neighborhood of the projects? It's known for a reason, and I want to know why. On a scale of 1 to 10, I give Candyman a solid 8. I don't understand why when you see reviews of this film, people are downvoting it and giving it like 4s and 2s and saying it's incredibly boring. I feel like modern horror day fans, especially of the last, 10 to 15 years or so, maybe are not giving this movie a chance because they just want to see horror movies that offer nothing more than tits and people getting killed. I love those things as well, but I also love great storytelling, and Candyman, at least the first 2 films, does that. There's not a lot of horror movies and horror movie sequels that can tell a very interesting, coherent story without it falling into the trap of horror movie tropes the whole time. I felt like this was a perfect opportunity to review this movie, seeing as we're finally going to get the Candyman remake that was promised to us a year ago, but because of the pandemic has been pushed back. I'm very excited to see this remake, even though I'm not big on horror movie remakes. This one looks pretty good to me. I don't know, I could be wrong, but it looks good.
Candyman ain't a he. Candyman's the whole damn hive. If you're out here looking for Candyman, you ask me, stay away.
If you're looking for a horror movie that has a very intriguing story that'll keep your attention the whole time, and you don't just want blood and gore the entire time of the movie, I would suggest checking out Candyman. This is a solid movie, and I really definitely feel like it goes under the radar and is barely talked about. So to see it being brought back with this remake makes me kind of excited to see what other horror movies that have gone under the radar and been very highly underappreciated may come forward in the future. So with that, guys, this is Forrest, this is Retro or Die, and I'll see you on the next movie review.
You are not content with the stories, so I was obliged to come. Be my victim. Be my victim.